فجأة قدام عيني يحترق وهو لا بيده شيء يصلع.
Welcome back to Top 10 Mysteries. Today I will take you to explore Yemen, a country in the Middle East, located in the south of the Arabian Peninsula. From here, you will be startled when you come across a very strange costume. Women open their eyes. It's normal, right? But men see guns with knives on their backs, and they go to buy guns to celebrate when their baby gives birth. Stunned to see an old man in Yemen grow horns like buffalo horns on his head, or skyscrapers such as Dubai, looking at the materials created to know that they are very true Yemen. And there are countless strange facts to help you understand the country with this rather strange name in the clearest way. Strict clothing distinguishes between women and men. Guns are mandatory. Look at this scene. Don't be startled when you see a series of black shadows moving on the road. Not ghosts, grim reapers, witches, but women in Yemen. It's no surprise that 99% of Yemenis are Arabs, and you know how strict Islam is for women. The costume is always closed from the top of the head to the bottom of the feet. Each eye is open. But this scene is really not to blame tourists for being startled because suddenly they are in sync with the same black and wearing the same pointed hat. As for the men, except for women and children, each Yemeni man will keep 10 guns in his house or around his stomach. That's not to mention the knives called janbiya, which are always worn in front of the chest and are an integral part of traditional Yemeni clothing. If men from other countries wear ties, Yemeni men wear guns and janbiya. In fact, guns and knives are a manifestation of social position and reputation in the country. A boy has to wear a plastic knife to complete his traditional clothes. Many fathers heard that their wives gave birth to sons and rushed to the market to buy one, a gun, good, as a gift for a newborn baby. Reading this far, you must be afraid. Yemenis, on the other hand, feel very secure that both women and children can use guns in their homes.
Fatigues.
Next is the incident of a man growing horns like buffalo horns on his head. Stunned by the two-horned old man. A man believed to be more than 140 years old, living in Al Jawf province in Yemen, nicknamed the Two-Horned Man, shocked everyone when he admired his two horns. Moreover, this person died 3 days after an unskilled person tried to cut the horns with a red burning tool. At that time, the horns were as long as Ali's mouth. It is known that this is not congenital, but it only develops on 2 sides of the forehead after he is 100 years old. Many people believe that this hard skin tumor like a horn has caused him to live with it, and when it is removed, he will lose his life. In the same situation is Dimanche, a French woman who lived in Paris in the 19th century. At the age of 76, she began to have a long horn that grew to 24.9 centimeters on her forehead, dangling right in front of her. Dimanche's wax statue is currently on display at the Mutter Museum in Philadelphia. After all, the oldest recorded case of horns is Mary Davis, who lived in Socotra, England in the 17th century, owning 4 horns. One of the 4 is on display at the Jurassic Museum of Technology in Culver, USA. Similarly, an old woman in China grows horns in the middle of the top of her head like a unicorn, or an old man grows right on her neck. You know, this is actually keratosis, with a type of tumor on the skin, which appears when the amount of keratin accumulates excessively in areas of the skin that are exposed to light a lot, such as the face, ears, back of their hands, top of the head. Therefore, many theories suggest the solar radiation may be what stimulated the disease to develop, or another culprit may be the HPV virus that causes papillomas, and about 20% of cases of skin horns can be a sign of a potentially dangerous skin disease, carcinoma. Therefore, the joke of today's youth is that horns grow on their heads and come true. People growing horns is strange enough, but the bleeding tree on the alien island is even stranger, guys. Horror tree bleeds like a human on an alien island. It has the strangest shape on the planet, like a giant mushroom, and can also bleed. This is the dragon's blood tree, Dracena Draco, with a lifespan of hundreds of years, the symbol of the Socotra Islands in Yemen, Indian Ocean. The island has officially become a World Natural Heritage Site. UNESCO has designated this area as a MAB, Man and Biosphere, protected area when it owns more than 800 species of plants and animals are not found anywhere else on the planet, and more than 300,000 species of plants are endemic, accounting for 37%. Marine life in Socotra is also very diverse, with 253 species of corals, 730 species of fish, and 300 species of crabs and shrimp. Among them, there are 27 extremely rare species listed in the Red Book. The special feature is that when cutting the trunk of the dragon's blood tree, the bright red liquid like blood begins to spill out, flows down into streams, and then quickly dries up, clinging to the trunk. Of course, it is not the plant that menstruates like puberty girls, but it is the plastic that helps it attach to the wounds on the trunk and shell, much thicker than our blood. According to legend, the first dragon blood tree was born from the blood of a dragon that was injured while fighting an elephant. The growth cycle is also very different from foam. When the plants are young, they have only one solitary stem. 10 to 15 years later, the stem stops growing, fragrant white flowers appear, berries grow when the flowers fade, then young shoots pop up and the plant begins to branch. Each branch grows for about 10 to 15 years and then continues to give birth to secondary branches and then levels 3, 4, and 5. Focusing on branching, it takes them up to 10 years to reach a height of about 120 centimeters. Then the speed of growth is faster. Locals say they have used the dragon's blood plant as a daily medicinal herb for centuries. Sadly, it is in danger of disappearing forever due to dry climate change. Or, the desert rose is also an exotic plant on the archipelago. People also call it the milk-gourd tree because of its massive trunk characteristics due to storing water in the dry season. And the sand dunes seem to be only on the set, as if created by cinematography. If you want to get there, you have to go by plane or boat. The population of the Socotra Islands does not exceed 43,000 people and is mainly engaged in fishermen, poultry farmers, and farmers. Many of the women on the Socotra Islands have DNA genetic codes that cannot be found anywhere else on Earth. It's really strange, isn't it? Strange mud skyscraper cities in Yemen. Friends, just like Dubai and New York. But it is a version of the mud skyscraper known as the Manhattan of the desert, located in the ancient city of Shibam in eastern Yemen. You heard it right. Hundreds of thousands of buildings are built entirely of mud bricks. From 5 to 11 floors high, about 20-30 meters. Each floor includes 1 or 2 apartments. The mixture to create bricks consists of soil, hay, and water mixed and molded by the people, then exposed to the sun for many days. When the bricks are hard enough, they will build a house. It is amazing that Yemenis build high-rise buildings without scaffolding. Instead, the master builders will start with making a stone foundation about 2 meters deep, on which mud bricks are staggered, stacking 2 bricks on 1. After that, they slowly build it, placing wooden floor support beams and scaffolding that are usually only used when the house is completed and needs to be plastered or repaired. However, these construction skills are on the verge of extinction, and modern engineers are also tied up. You must think it will be like an apartment building with hundreds of households living there, but in fact, each of these buildings is owned by a single family. All members concentrate on living mainly from the 3rd floor upwards, while the 1st floor, which usually has no windows, will be used as a food storage warehouse and cattle barn. Don't think that mud will fall easily. It is up to 500 years old. That's because dry bricks can withstand the sun for almost 250 years without ever breaking or damaged. Moreover, thanks to that type of house construction, the cities of Zabid, Shibam, and Sana'a Ancient Citadel have been designated as UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Going back to the past, Yemenis have a tradition of building high-rise buildings since the 8th and 9th centuries, and medieval documents also suggest that the Gumdam Palace in Sana'a was built in the 3rd century BC, with up to 20 floors. And that's the mud house. The next one climbs to a higher level when the whole village is completely isolated on a special new rock. The village is precariously on the rock. Do you dare to think that as soon as you step out of the house, you find yourself on an uneven rock? A slip is a loss of teeth. And that is exactly the Haid al-Jazil village in Yemen, located on a rock block more than 150 meters high, surrounded by an almost desolate valley. This is called the $1 Million View. Decades ago, hundreds of people lived in this village, but now only 17 people, most of whom are children or the elderly, have moved to Saudi Arabia, where wages and life are more attractive. Life here is not easy. The only off-road vehicle can move to this village due to the difficult roads, and if you want to go home, you have to climb a little hard. Fortunately, there are still water pipes and electricity connected to it. It is not a return to the primitive life. It's not natural to build for fun. In Yemen, the problem of water shortage is very serious, and the construction of high-rise houses using materials allows people to better store rainwater, especially the village of Haid al-Jazil, which is located above the canals to catch the rains in the summer. There are also no rivers or lakes around. Next, let's come to the reveal of the strange treasure under the Hell's Well. Revealing the strange treasure under the Hell Well in the Yemeni desert. The Hell Well is likened to a natural wonder on Earth, but I heard rumors that it contains demons. It is the Barhout Well, which is actually a sinkhole located in the desert, 1,300 kilometers from the Yemeni capital of Sana'a. For a long time, generations of residents living nearby believed that this was a prison for dark spirits. Covered in a foul smell, anyone or anything that came near the dreaded Hell Well was sucked down with no way out, so people turned on the shunning mode for fear of bad luck. And then scientists were born to search for the truth, and the person who volunteered to take the adventure was none other than Mr. Mohammed Al-Kindi, a professor at the German University of Technology in Oman, and a team of cave explorers. The man directly swings the rope down the Hell Well, while 2 other colleagues stand above controlling the intelligent pulley system. After 4 to 5 hours, they determined the depth of the well was 112 meters, and there were no demons underneath. It was just that some birds fell to the bottom of the pit and died. The bird carcasses were decomposed, so there was a stench. They also found that water emerged from several holes in the cave wall at a depth of about 65 meters below the surface, creating small waterfalls. Besides, there are countless beautiful cave sediments, including stalagmites, stalactites, and even calcium carbonate residues smoothed by the movement of falling water over thousands of years, forming a sparkling pearl shape beneath the underground waterfalls. Bonus, a whole ecosystem of its own with toads, snakes, beetles, birds, and lizards. It's so diverse, but it's wrong to say that only the devil. After all the above strange things, we also have to look at the reality of poverty in this country. Yemen's economic instability. The harsh truth is that if the war continues, Yemen will become the poorest country in the world, with 79% of the population living below the poverty line and 65% classified as very poor. Many families with young children are severely malnourished and dying of hunger in an isolated rural area in northern Yemen with nothing to eat except boiled leaves from abandoned vineyards. That's why it's hard for them to manage their daily meals. But they came up with a cereal porridge called ast that meets all 3 criteria of delicious, nutritious, and cheap, instead of spending about $5.40 for a family of 6 when eating a meal at a restaurant. Moreover, if you shop in Yemen, it is also more expensive. If you don't have money and things are still expensive, what could be more painful, right? For example, A bottle of beer costs $4. Cigarettes are also more expensive when they cost over $350. The great cause of poverty comes from internal wars with other countries that have led to famine affecting 17 million people. The lack of safe drinking water, due to depleted aquifers and the destruction of the country's water infrastructure, is also responsible for the largest, fastest-spreading cholera outbreak in modern history, with the number of suspected cases exceeding 994,751. Few people know that the country associated with war and poverty was once called Arabia Felix, which means happy land. This name is associated with the period when Yemen was more prosperous than most countries in the Arabian Peninsula. Since 2014, the Yemeni civil war has ended that beautiful past. This is a war between the Yemeni government in Aden, led by the current president Hadi, against the Houthis rebel forces, and the risk that the country will continue to be involved. Many other wars should be expected to be unstable for a long time. The video of exploring the land of Yemen is over. Thank you to the audience of Top 10 Mysteries for following and supporting us to create many extremely quality and useful videos for viewers. Now say goodbye and see you again in the next videos. With